Hello everybody, welcome to another quick video. Now today what I'm going to talk about is using this, the 60mm macro from Olympus paired with the OM-1 Mark II for setting up focus stacking. Now I know I did a focus stacking video a bit back, but I want to just cover sort of how you set it up and sort of how you actually sort of get the results that you're looking for with it. Not going to be using a flash today, literally everything's going to be in camera, basically just one single sort of setup. I'll just show you how it's sort of done, showing you the back of the camera when I set up the focus stacking and how I sort of line things up and how the focus stacking actually works. So let's get lined up on the subject and we'll get things in motion. So we've got the macro lens on. Now it doesn't have to do with the macro lens, you can do this with most of the OM-system and Olympus lenses. What I want to do, go into menu, and if you look at the top there, we're on the second camera menu and you've got quite a few different options there. Now what we're going to go to is focus stacking. So let's go and select that using the D-pad. And there we go. You can see at the moment it's off, so just hit OK on there, select on. Now how we've got that set at the moment is it's going to take 10 shots with a focus differential of 3. Now essentially what that means is it's how wide in between the sort of the shots it takes it. If you go wide, you'll get quite a long step in between each of the shots. So you're going to be wanting to use something like an f5.6, something similar to that. Or if you go down to sort of really narrow, it'll actually keep everything very, very much sort of tight and very sort of close together. So you can actually go for quite a wide open aperture, which will give you a really nice background if you're aiming for that. Well, what I do, I set it to around about 5, so in the middle, it lets me play a little bit. Now, the number of shots that you can select, you can actually do that up to 15 if you wanted to, or right the way, if you only want sort of a small stack, down to 3 shots. But I'm going for the 10 shots at the moment, so I'll get it fairly much on default. The charge time is just if you're using a flash, but we're not really going to be covering that at the moment. So we've got that set, so let's get the shot lined up and get a few shots in. So the reason for using focus stacking is essentially to give you more options. Say you want a nice creamy background and the subject that you want, if you're trying to sort of do that, so a nice wide open aperture, you're only going to get like a wafer thin section of the subject in focus. This allows you to actually sort of stack things up so you've got the image that you want, so the foreground nicely in focus and the background stays nice and sort of smooth. Gives you that lovely effect that you really sort of like with the sort of the macros. You don't have to do it with just a macro lens as well, although the 30mm macro is relatively cheap for the Olympus systems. And it's a cracking little lens. I run the 60, but I've still got the 30 that I use quite a few times when I'm out and about, just as a second camera with the OM-1 Mark I. I'm not there because it weighs nothing. You can get tight in there, and it's a really, really nice setup. But say we've got the setup there. You've got the 10 shots that we want. We've got a focus differential in the middle, so we've got a nice little background to it, but with a nice crisp foreground and sort of main subject. How that works is it actually initially sort of finds where you've focused. Normally what I do, I'll focus at the furthest forward point of the subject. What it will do then is take 2 steps back and actually start the focus stack from there. So you get 2 forward and then 8 in front. What that means then is you've actually got a lovely sort of pull through the entire range. One thing that is worth considering though is consider how close your background is, because sometimes that could be a little bit far in. You might need to pull your differential down a little bit. But a lot of it is play with it, experiment, and try a few different shots. But I found this little sort of acorn that sat on the table here. The background's a little bit dappled from the light coming through the trees, so I think it might make a nice effect. We'll set up and get a couple of shots in. So you can see where we're set up. You can see there's a black line that actually sort of cuts into the main scene. That basically is your sort of leeway for when you're focus stacking, because obviously you've got your IBIS inside the camera, but you've not got stability on the lens if you're using some of the macros. If you're in the 90mm macro, you have got stability in lens, but it just gives you that bit of extra leeway, so if things are moving slightly, it can still stack it together. Doesn't work perfectly all the time, but most of the time it does. Now I've set for an f4 aperture at the moment. ISO's an auto. It's not massively bright even though the sun's out, so I'm sort of running sort of around about the ISO 1000 mark, 1/25 of a second. It looks fairly good on the histogram, so we'll take a shot now, and you'll see how that actually sort of patched through each of the individual images, and it just stacks that in camera. And there we go, that's the finished image. So what you get out of that is the stacked image in JPEG format and all of your images separately in RAW. Essentially that means if you want to afterwards, you can actually stack it yourself in other software, but the in-camera JPEG is pretty good. A lot of the time I'll actually use that over sort of actually manually stacking it myself, which is the really handy part about this. It's set up so well, and like I said, the out-of-camera JPEG is surprisingly good. You can push and pull it a little bit, but the general exposure is really, really nice that comes out of the camera. It does make a massive difference that you can work with the stuff that comes out of the camera, certainly. Like I said, little leaf on the table as well. I've just took another shot off. Again, standard stack, nothing particularly special about it. Handheld, not using anything particularly fantastic, but it lets you sort of develop and play with it. You can go to the nth degree and actually use sort of focus bracketing on this and get to like 1,000 shots, but that's taken to the extremes. This is literally just the quick setup. So you've got camera, lens, all set, and off you go. Makes it really easy to work. Now there are some times when the focus stacking won't work for you. You've seen that sort of area on the screen. Basically, if you keep things inside that, it'll try and stack it for you. But if the wind's up and you've got something that's moving around in the wind too much, or say you've got an insect and it decides to move, it won't stack those. There's only so much you can manage. Occasionally it'll try it and you'll get a little bit of ghosting around the edges, but as long as you understand the limitations, you'll have no problem at all. But certainly it's a great tool, and there's a lot out there that you can play with. Like I say, I'm literally just sat in the middle of the wood at the moment on a bit of a park bench. There's a couple of bits and bobs around. Like I say, I spotted the acorn. There's a leaf that I'm going to just grab a shot of now as well. That I'll put up. But yeah, it's the sort of thing that it opens up a little bit more than just like single shots. If you are going to sort of mess around with the macro side of things, I can definitely recommend the 60mm macro. It's a fantastic piece of kit, and essentially sort of it lets you get into places that normally you wouldn't be able to. The 30mm macro as well is a brilliant starter lens. The stuff that can get for its size is fantastic, so also one to consider. But like I've said before, you don't need an actual macro lens. You can use some of the kit lenses with this. The 14-42 will even do it. The tiny things that sort of came with the earlier cameras. You can do so much with it. It's really, really nice. But I'll pop another couple of shots up now that I've taken with the stack. Drop us a comment down below. Have you actually sort of used the focus stacking features? Do you want to know more information about it? I'll try and answer as many questions as you've got with it. But I'm going to grab a few more shots now while we're here and put some more sort of shots up for you. Hopefully it's been useful. If it has, hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already. But certainly get out there with your camera, take the shots, enjoy it. So thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time. Take care.
It's 2 AM and I can't fall asleep, 'cause I'm not tired. I'm thinking about the days we used to shine when we were young. I told you that we should start a band and reach for the sky. It's 2 AM and I can't fall asleep, I'm just not tired. I can hear the raindrops falling. It's cold outside and I kinda feel like calling, but it's too late now. I just miss you. I just miss you. We were such a constellation, right? No, you'd agree. Made a reputation for ourselves at age 18. We had the devil on our shoulders. can't fall asleep. I'm just not tired. I can hear the raindrops